Neha, I think you can start. We have about 80 people over here and more on the YouTube live stream as well.
Hi guys, welcome to the live session on gearing up for the next career opportunity, a session on resume building, group discussion and interviewing skills. I am Neha Agrawal. I'm an academic communication expert and founder of Wise Up Communications, and I'm going to be a facilitator for this session. So before we begin, let me share something about myself so you can know me a little better. Like most of you here, I am also an engineer by degree, and I completed my undergrad from RV College of Engineering, Bangalore. Soon after that, I went on to complete my master's from Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. And I also worked as a materials engineer at ExxonMobil in Singapore. So while I was studying at NTU Singapore, I got this amazing opportunity to coach over 120 students from 15 different countries in improving their written and oral communication skills. And that's when I realized that this barrier to good communication skills also existed back at home. Even when I was working at ExxonMobil, I realized that communication skills played a very important role there as well, whether it was meeting discussions, knowledge sharing sessions, or technical presentations. Communication skills were a way to show your technical expertise in a subject. And if you couldn't communicate well, people often thought that you did not have enough technical knowledge. So that's when I decided to come back to India and start Wise Up so that I can help students improve their communication skills so they too can have very successful and meaningful careers. Resume, group discussion, and interviewing skills are very important in shaping your career. So, without further delay, let's see the agenda that we have for today. So, the first thing that we're going to do is test your understanding and how much knowledge do you have about the subject already. After that, I'm going to share with you some tips on resume writing and how can you prepare professional resumes. Then I'm going to share with you some insights on group discussion and what are you supposed to do before a group discussion, during a group discussion, and finally towards the end. Next, so once your resume and group discussion is done, chances are you will move to the next round, which is interviews. So I'm going to share with you some techniques as to how you can ace your video interviews. And then I will share with you the deliverables of a career building workshop, which we are doing in association with Clinify. And finally, it's going to be time for you to ask all your questions and clear your doubts. All right, so let's begin. So guys, the first thing that we're going to do is test our understanding. So what you have to do is just scan this QR code or log in through the web. I'm going to ask you 3 questions and it's completely anonymous. So do participate and I will also share the live results with you. So let's make the session very interactive because I don't want it to be like a one-sided lecture. All right. So scan the QR code or log in through the web. And now I will activate the polling session for you guys. For those of you, in case you're not able to log in, you can also leave your comments in the chat box.
Should I share the link, Neha?
Yes, please. So guys, I have now activated the poll, so it's live. So the first question is, what is the main purpose of a resume? And I'm waiting for your answers. I hope you can see my screen. Harish, is my screen visible, the poll?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, awesome.
Guys, the poll link is in the chat, so you can check the chat section.
All right, so here are some responses. So what is the main purpose? People are telling me showcase skill set, okay? Experience or interview, representation of qualifications, technical skills, all right, experience. Skills, I think, is the highlight. I hope you all can see the word cloud. Candidate experience, showcase skills. All right, fantastic. Thanks a lot, guys. Nice. Now, Moving on to the next question. And the next question is, how should you close a group discussion? So now this question is about group discussion. And the question is, how should you close a group discussion? Summarize all the points I made in the GD. Summarize everyone's points, but share my personal opinion. Summarize everyone's points without my personal opinion. And lastly, I will never volunteer to close a group discussion. So what do you guys think? Fantastic. Nice. So 68% people are telling me that summarize everyone's points but share my personal opinion. Another 13% summarize everyone's points without my personal opinion. And another 20% summarize all the points I made. Great. So guys, to know the correct answer for this, I'm going to actually share all these details during the session. And now coming to the last and the final question, which is, rate how confident you feel about giving interviews. So this will actually help me understand how much do I need to explain to you all about interview preparation. So be honest, as honest as possible. It's anonymous anyway. Fairly confident. So most people are telling me that they are fairly confident. Okay. So 43% people telling me fairly confident. Another 23 not at all confident. Somewhere between fairly confident and not at all confident. 13% people are slightly better than fairly confident. Okay, great. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you for participating. And now let's get back to the presentation. So thanks a lot. And the next topic that I have for you is tips on resume writing. Harish, is my screen visible? Sorry, just checking.
It
Yeah,
is.
it's yeah.
Okay, awesome. So before we even get into that, what is the purpose of a resume? And a lot of you told me it's about showcasing your skills, correct? Well, that is right. But the main purpose of a resume is to win that interview call. What you do in that interview to get that job is a completely different ballgame altogether. Let me share an example with you. Say you're applying to some of the tech giants like Facebook, Google. How many people do you think apply to these companies on a daily basis for a particular job position? Probably 1,000, 2,000. And how many people actually get shortlisted for an interview? Probably 50 to 60, right? And how many people actually get the job in the end? Probably 4 or 5, based on the number of openings that they have. So if you see, getting shortlisted from that 1,000 or 2,000 to 50 to 60 is so much more difficult than clearing the interview and getting the job. If I share my personal example with you, when I was in Singapore, being an expat that is from another country, I applied to over 200 job positions. And out of that, I got only 4 interview calls. I actually managed to clear those 4 interviews, but this is exactly what I'm trying to say, that clearing this resume round is so much more difficult. And why is that? Because when you're in an interview, either a face-to-face or a video interview, you have a chance to showcase your personality to the interviewer, talk about your skills, talk about your experience. But what happens at the resume stage? You can't do the talking for yourself, right? It's this one piece of paper that is doing the talking for you. So how you put your skills, how you put your experiences on your resume so that it does the talking for you and sets you apart from others is very important. And having said that, let's look at the different sections that go in a resume. So these are some of the most common sections that you will see in a resume. The first one is personal information. Here, the things that you should definitely include is your full name, your email address, and your phone number. These 3 things, guys, are non-negotiable because if a hiring manager likes your profile, this is probably how they're going to get in touch with you. Other things you could mention is your LinkedIn profile, your mailing address, or even your GitHub profile link. All right. The next would be education. So in the education section, I'm sure all of you know, you have to mention your university name, your degree name, which is Bachelor of Engineering or Bachelor of Technology, along with your branch name. So chemical engineering, computer science engineering, all those things, along with period attended. So say, for example, you started your college in May 2018 and you'll be finishing it in May 2022. Then you need to mention the period as well. I'm actually going to share more details about the education section in a bit. Next comes the work experience section. And here you need to mention your company name along with the location of the company as well. Because you should show the you should show the hiring manager which part of the company or which branch of the company are you working in. Along with that, you should also mention the period attended, and then you should mention your job title or position. This is what I see most of the students doing, is that they don't mention their job title or position. So even if you're interning, you could give a title to yourself, like a software developer intern or a research intern or just summer intern, but do give a title to yourself. And then you should mention the achievements and responsibilities in that company. So one tip I would actually like to give here is try and use resume action words. So how many of you know what are resume action words? Can I receive some responses in the chat box? Okay. Keywords. Some people are telling me keywords. What are resume action words? Do you guys know or don't know? No idea, right? Okay. So what are resume action words, guys? Resume action words are just fancier words that you use to replace the normal verbs. Let me share an example with you. Say you want to write, I worked with a team of 5 members to achieve a so-and-so goal. Instead of that, you can write, I collaborated with a team of 5 members to achieve a particular goal. So the word collaborated is actually a resume action word. Or let's take another example. I conducted research on so-and-so topic. Instead of that, you can write, I investigated a so-and-so research topic. So these words, when you actually use them throughout your resume, you will actually be able to see the kind of impact that it is making. And there are tons of resume action words available out there. All you need to do is just Google and you will find different resume action words for management skills, helping skills, volunteering skills, communication skills, basically everything that actually goes on your resume. All right, so always remember that tip. Now moving on to the next section, which is achievements. So what are some of the things that you can write in the achievement section? Can you all give me some examples? Some things you can write in the achievement section. Projects. Internship. No, an internship is not an achievement. Olympiads, okay. Awards. Coding competition prizes, yes. Okay, what else? Hackathon, yes. Certificates, okay. Yes, all right, good. So the things that you can actually write in your achievement section is number 1, honors and awards. So if you've gotten like the first rank in your department, or if you won an award for academic excellence, you could probably mention it in your achievement section. Other would be scholarships. So say you got a scholarship in your college where they waived a part of your tuition fee, or you got a scholarship to conduct a research project in some country abroad. Those are also things that you can mention in this section. Others would be competitions, as you all are saying. So if you won a particular competition, those things you can mention in this section. Some people confuse it with participation certificates. You can't mention participation certificates in the achievement section. Not allowed. Okay, only winning certificates. Yes, sports also. If you won sports competitions also, you can definitely mention it in the achievement section. Yes. The next would be, what were the next things? Yes, publications and conferences. So if you've attended any conference where you presented your work, or if you have a published research paper, those are also things that you can mention in this particular section. Coming to the next one, which is skills. So as you all know, there are 2 kinds of skills. One is hard skills and the second is soft skills. So when it comes to hard skills, they are basically your technical skills, right? So you can mention here your tools, some of the tools that you know, softwares that you know, programming languages, databases that you know. All these are part of your technical skills. For those of you coming from like a more core engineering field, like mechanical engineering or chemical engineering, if there are certain softwares related to your degree that you can mention them here. Or if you know certain sophisticated instruments and how to use them, like SEM, XRD, all those things, you can mention that in the skill section as well. All right, so this is about your technical skills. Certifications. I know a lot of you have Coursera and Udemy certifications. So if you want to mention those certifications as well, skills is a good place to mention that. All right, so create like a subsection for certifications and you can mention that there. Are you guys asking me any questions? Let me just check. Let me open the chat box. Okay, yes. And the next is soft skills. So the question is, should you even write soft skills on your resume or not? So you can mention soft skills, but you should have something on your resume to back it up. Say, for example, you write communication skills. So then you should either be somebody who's a public speaker, or you should be somebody who's won a debating competition, or you should be somebody who's a part of the Toastmasters club or literary or debating society. That shows that yes, you do have good communication skills. All right. So make sure whenever you're writing soft skills, don't overdo it, and there is something to back it up in your resume. Next would be leadership positions. So now I need to know from all of you, what are some of the leadership positions that you can write? Yes. So I'm sure a lot of you are telling me college clubs and societies. This chat box is a little difficult to open. Okay, anyways, not wasting time. Sorry, guys, the chat box is not opening. Yes, so for the leadership positions, some of the things that you can write is if you have been part of any college club or society and held any position there, you can mention that. Then some colleges have student governments. So if you're a president, vice president there, you could mention those as well. Campus ambassadors. Nowadays, students are campus ambassadors of different colleges or fests or even companies. So if you're a campus ambassador, it can go in the leadership section as well. Others would be sports teams. So if you're a captain or a vice captain of a sports team, it's a great leadership position to have, and you can definitely mention it here. Other than that, if you want to mention volunteering experience, so you can mention it under this leadership section as well. And I personally feel that volunteering experience is so versatile that you can literally put it anywhere. It can go under extracurriculars, it can go under leadership positions. Volunteering experience can have a separate section of its own. If you have a lot of volunteering experience, you can put it anywhere. And lastly is hobbies and interests. So if you do have some space available on your resume, you can definitely put hobbies and interests. But two things to remember, guys, whenever you put hobbies and interests. First, does it add any advantage to the company? So say, for example, you want to write that you love watching movies or like listening to songs. Is it adding any advantage to the company? No, right? 99% of the people do that. But probably if you mention that you're a public speaker, that is a great hobby to have, because that shows you have good communication skills and the company can actually use that. So first is whether it is offering any advantage to the company or not. And secondly, if it becomes a talking point in the interview, are you ready to speak about it or not? One of my students, she mentioned her hobby as calligraphy. And then she went to the interview and the interviewer gave her a pen and a paper and then asked her, can you write something for me in calligraphy? So if you don't want your interview to go in a completely different direction, then please don't mention these things. All right. So that would be my suggestion to you. And now looking at one of the sections of a resume, which is education. So as I told you, some of the things you should mention here is your institution name, years attended, type of degree, program or course name, location of the institute, very important. Say, for example, you study at BITS Pilani, all right? So BITS Pilani has so many branches, right? There's BITS Pilani campus, BITS Pilani Hyderabad campus, Goa campus. So you should mention which branch of this institute are you studying in. That's important. Then CGPA projects and coursework. So all these 5 that I just showed you are actually compulsory, but CGPA, projects, coursework are optional. Yes, CGPA is also optional. So if you don't have a good CGPA and you don't want to put it on your resume, it's completely fine. If you're going for off-campus jobs, it's okay. You can choose to hide it. But if you are going for like a campus placement and then your college requires you to put your CGPA on the resume, then you don't have a choice and you have to put it. Okay. And now let's look at one example. So look at what the student has done. So if you see, education is the title that has been given to the section. Then comes the name of the college, complete full name of the college, not just BITS Pilani. On the right hand side, you can see the period attended, August 2018 to present. Next line, if you see on the left hand side, is the degree name and then the program name, which is chemical engineering. And in the next line, this person has chosen to highlight their CGPA because it's so great. And they've also mentioned expected date of graduation here. Similarly, you should mention information for your school, which is your school name, the board that you attended, and the percentages. So guys, here the percentages are not optional and you have to mention it, your class 12 and class 10. All right. So this is something that I had for you guys about resume writing. More details. I have so much more details that I would like to share with you during the workshop. And now let's move on to the next part, which is insights on group discussion. So what I'm going to do now is actually share with you the structure of a group discussion. So how many here actually know how a group discussion runs and what is the purpose of a group discussion? How many have given group discussions before? No clear idea is what I'm getting. Some people are saying yes, raised hands. 2 participants have raised their hand. Okay. All right. So let me tell you at least what is the purpose of a group discussion. So the reason why companies go for a group discussion is because they want to put you in a real life scenario. When you join your company, you will have multiple situations where you have to discuss with your clients, discuss with your colleagues, your teammates. So the hiring managers, they want to see how will you behave in such situations, which is why a group discussion is conducted. And so now I'm going to share with you what is the structure of a group discussion like. What are you supposed to do before a group discussion, during a group discussion, and towards the end of a group discussion. So the first one is before the group discussion. And common sense, guys, the first thing that you need to do is update yourself with current affairs. And not just before the group discussion, but rule in life. Please update yourself with current affairs, because if you don't know what's happening around you, talking in the group discussion is going to be a little difficult. And the next is note down key points for the discussion. So for those of you who don't have much idea about how a group discussion usually runs, let me tell you. So in a group discussion, what happens is that it's usually like a 10 to 15 minutes affair, and there are like 8 to 10 participants. So you're all seated around each other, and then there is a moderator. So what the moderator will do is that the moderator will share a topic with you and then probably give you like 2 minutes to think about it. So in that time, what you should do is think about all the points that you would actually like to talk about in the discussion. And then based on your knowledge about the topic, decide if you wish to speak first or not. So again, my question to you, should you always speak first in a group discussion, or should you always try to speak first in a group discussion? What do you guys think? Somebody is saying no, not necessary, depends, okay. Yes, somebody is also telling me yes. All right. So you should try and speak first in the group discussion only if you feel you can do it well. Opening a group discussion, guys, is a high risk, high return situation. So if you do it well, you are going to set the tone for the GD and set yourself apart from others. But if you do it poorly, you mess it up, you're going to set a poor impression for you that's going to last throughout the group discussion. So only if you feel you know enough about the topic and only if you feel that you're confident enough should you open a group discussion. And now, the first thing, so this is again a mistake. Okay, now I'm going to actually ask a question to all of you. 2 options, okay? How should you open a group discussion? Start by sharing all the points that you have written down, or should you like just introduce the topic, what the topic is about, and not share any points? Option number 1 or option number 2? Option number 1, share all the points. Option number 2, just introduce the topic, not share any points. Okay, I am getting super mixed responses. Nice. I am glad that there is confusion, but because I would like to clear it. Great. Okay, so guys, what you should do is never share your points in the beginning of the group discussion, especially if you are introducing the topic. If you are opening the group discussion, you should not start by talking about all the points that you have. Let's take an example. Say, for example, the topic is COVID-19, a boon or a bane to the society. And you're opening the group discussion and you start saying, I personally feel that COVID-19 is a bane to the society. So many people have lost their lives in the past 1 year. People lost their jobs as well. The economy came to a standstill. So I don't think COVID-19 has helped us in any way. And you go on and on and on about it. Don't do that. Instead, how should you open the group discussion? You should open the group discussion by introducing the topic. So you could probably say, as we all know, COVID-19 originated in China in the late 2019. And in a matter of few months, it spread across the entire world. Today, we have an opportunity to discuss whether COVID-19 is a boon or a bane to the society. And we can consider its effect on the social, economic, political, legal, and technological perspective. So what you're supposed to do is give direction to the GD and help other people as to what are the possible ways how the discussion can proceed. You're not supposed to share the points that you have immediately when you open the group discussion. And then, so what you're supposed to do is set up the backbone for discussion so that other people have different directions as to how they can speak on the topic, and it becomes a very holistic discussion. And you can also use help of frameworks. So the framework that I use right now is called as the SPELT framework, SPELT. And there are many such frameworks as well that you should use, and we'll be covering that during the workshop. So this is how you should open your GD. And the next point is keep it short and concise, as others will be impatient to speak. So just because you've gotten the first chance to speak, that doesn't mean you will go on and on and on for 4 minutes. Please don't do that. Give respect to other people as well. Keep it short and keep it concise so that other people have enough time to speak. All right. So this was about opening of a group discussion. Now, what should you do during a group discussion? So the first is listen to others speaking. So what most students do is, right, they just wait for a chance when they can actually start speaking and there is a gap, somebody has stopped speaking and now they can start. Please don't do that. During a group discussion, you should listen to others speaking as well. Acknowledge what they are saying. Make notes of points made by others. So say, for example, in the end, if you have been asked to summarize the GD, or if you want to summarize the GD, then you should know what other people have spoken about. So make notes of the key points that other people are making. Next is respond and react to others. So when somebody is speaking, don't look at your notebook, don't look at the panelist. Look at the person who's speaking, acknowledge what they're speaking. What you can do is make eye contact with them, lean slightly forward to show that you're interested in the conversation, nod your head if you agree with what that person is saying. This is how you become a part of the group discussion. Try and continue the discussion rather than bringing up disconnected points. So some people, like, they have written down some points they want to speak, and because they haven't gotten a chance, the moment they do, they'll be like, oh, this is the point I wanted to speak, and they will throw it to the group, whether it is linked to the discussion that is happening right now or not. No care in the world. Yeah, don't do that. Try and continue the discussion rather than bringing up disconnected points. And what I mean by that is, say, for example, again, this COVID-19 topic, and somebody is talking about how the economy actually came to a standstill during the group discussion. And you start talking about, yesterday the number of cases that came in India were actually almost close to 2 lakhs. How is that linked? It's not making any sense, right? So instead of somebody is talking about the economy, you could probably talk about how the economy got affected in the world. If somebody is talking about how it got affected in India, or probably you could say that even though economy came to a standstill, there were some companies that really benefited from COVID and they made huge profits. So this is how you are taking the discussion forward rather than just putting up disconnected points. Is it clear? Does it make sense? Can I get some responses? Are you guys following? Or am I going like at a super crazy speed and it's difficult to follow? Yeah, we good? Guys, can I have a raise of hands? There's no thumbs up here. So can I have a raise of hands if you guys are following? Awesome. Thank you. Nice to see that. Thanks a lot, guys. Next, agree or disagree politely before starting your own point. So don't start a point abruptly. First, acknowledge what the previous person was saying. So if you agree to them, you could probably say, I completely agree to what you're saying, to add on to that, and then you start your point. Or if you disagree with somebody, you could say, I'm afraid I don't completely agree with your point of view. I would like to share my opinion and so and so. Or I agree to you till a certain extent. However, I would like to share an alternative point of view as well. So, this is how you connect yourself with other people rather than just starting off with a new point. All right. And now, coming to concluding the group discussion. So, a lot of you, I think around 70% of you told me that in a group discussion, when you close it, you're supposed to share everybody's points, but in the end, attach your personal opinion. No, that is not right, guys. So, what the first thing you're supposed to do is summarize key points in a concise way. So, the points that have been made by all the members, key points made, summarize them in a concise way. Then do not add new points or share your personal opinion. No. See, the purpose of a group discussion is come to a consensus as a group, right? It's not just about you. So, whatever points have been made by the group, you are only supposed to summarize that. Don't add any new points right now and don't add your personal opinion. That these are the reasons why we feel that COVID-19 is a bane to the society. These are the reasons why we feel it's a boon to the society. But I personally feel that it's a bane, and then you go on and on. Don't do that. And lastly, do not try to summarize twice. Sometimes what happens is that the moderator gives a topic. Sorry, the moderator picks up somebody and says that, hey, now it's time to close the GD. Could you please summarize? So this person is summarizing, all right? And you feel like this person has not done a very good job. He's actually left like 4 or 5 points. So then you take the charge and you're like, you start summarizing. No, don't do that. That's going against the group discussion and going against your group members. If that person has been asked to summarize, however good a job he does, that is it. All right. So please don't try to summarize twice. So is this clear? I hope a lot of myths and misconceptions have been busted for you guys today. Are we good, guys? Group discussion. Sorry, another raise of hands, please. Can we move on to the next topic? Nice. All right. Thank you. Coming to the next topic, which is techniques for acing interviews. So, guys, given the current situation that we are in, there are higher chances that you're going to have a video interview rather than a face to face interview. So, the first thing that you need to do is be prepared and not take the interview casually. This is what people do. The moment they know it's a video interview, they're like, all I have to do is sit in front of the laptop and give my interview. That's it. And this is precisely where you go wrong. So the first thing you need, goes without saying, is a quiet room. You can't have distractions during the interview. Check your Wi-Fi connection. So guys, if there is some problem with your Wi-Fi and for no fault of yours, if your video stops working during the video interview, then your interview is actually not going to go well. Because there is a reason why they are conducting a video interview. Either they're taking a test, which is why they need to monitor you, or probably they want to see how you speak, what's your personality like. So it's important that your video always runs. So if there is a problem with your Wi-Fi, please keep an alternate internet connection ready, like a mobile hotspot or a dongle. Practice the software. There are so many softwares that are out there. You don't want yourself fidgeting with the functions during the interview. So if it's a new software, download it in advance, practice it with a friend so that you are not facing any troubles during the interview. Dress appropriately. So goes without saying, you can't wear t-shirts and shorts in an interview. Not allowed. Wear a formal shirt at least. If you want to wear a tie, suit, you can also do that. Why dressing appropriately is important? Because it shows the hiring manager, shows the interviewer that yes, you care enough about that job, which is why you have decided to wear formal clothes even though you are at home. So it shows how much you care about that job. And also when you wear formal clothes, right, it gives you confidence that you're actually doing something serious. Next is keep a pen and paper beside you. So in case there are some problems you have to solve during the interview, or you're interacting with the interviewers and they tell you something important, you should have a pen and paper beside you so that you can jot all that information down. And next would be keep your resume. So keep your resume and all the other documents that you need to refer during the interview beside you. So guys, these are some simple things that you can do to be prepared and not take the interview casually. Next is look at the camera. So see, you're not in front of the interviewer, right? Oh my God, I'm wearing almost the same clothes as this girl. But anyways, so what was I saying? So I was saying that, see, you're not physically present in front of the interviewer to make eye contact with them. So instead, what you should do is look at the camera. Because when you look at the camera, the interviewer feels that you're actually looking at them. So don't look at them in the screen. Look at the camera while you're talking. All right. The third is greeting properly. So again, you're not physically present in front of the interviewer to make that personal connection, go for a handshake. So what should you do to build that connection in a video interview? You should greet them properly in a professional manner. You could say, hello, Mr. Mishra, I'm Divya. How are you doing? Or you could also say, good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. How are you doing today? And how does this help? It actually helps in taking away some of your nervousness, breaking the ice, and also starting the interview on a very positive note. Always try and do that. Even if they are not introducing themselves first or they are not starting the conversation first, you can do that and it's completely okay. Next is appropriate hand gestures. So in a physical interview, they can see your entire body language, but in a video interview, all they can see is your hands. So try and use appropriate hand gestures to make the conversation impactful. One simple tip that you can follow is by numbers. So say, for example, the interviewer asks you, tell us your 3 strengths. So you could say, my first strength is this, my second strength is this, and my third strength is this. Or say, for example, you want to compare a few things. So again, you can use your hands that in this particular job, this was my responsibility, and this particular job, this is the kind of responsibility that I was holding. So again, when you use hand gestures, it makes your conversation impactful. But obviously, don't use too much that it becomes very distracting for them. Next is end on a high note. So this is what I have seen for most students, that they start the interview with this energy level and then towards the end, the energy just drops. So don't do that. Maintain your energy level and especially end your interview on a high note. And how can you do that? First one is by asking relevant questions. When you ask relevant questions, it shows that yes, you are really interested in the interview and you're really interested in working with the company. You could also ask them about the remaining interview process or just thank him or her. Tell them, thank you so much for taking out the time today to interview me. This shows that you're obliged to the person that yes, they did take out some time from their busy schedule and spoke to you. Or you could also say, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Have a good day. So when you say these things, it actually ends your interview on a high note. And lastly, for some important tips, please don't try to cheat. Please don't have like post-it notes stuck here and there. Please don't make somebody sit beside you and prompt you the answers. Or please don't have like this screen open, an alternate screen open where you're looking at the answers. Don't do these things. See, the moment you take your eyes away from the camera, they're going to know that there is something fishy and your interview will end immediately. You can't cheat in a face-to-face interview, right? So why cheat in a video interview? Don't do it. And lastly, send a thank you email after the interview. So it's completely optional, but if you do want to send a thank you email to the interviewers, you can do that. Don't make it sound too desperate. So you could just very simply write, thank you so much for taking out the time today to interview me. I got to learn so much about the company and the role today, and I am excited to know about the next steps. So just plain, basic and simple. All right. So guys, these were some of my tips on video interviews. How many of you got all of them happy with the tips? Can I have like a raise of hands? Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you. And now moving on to the last part, which is, do you have any questions for us? Again, one of the most common questions asked, right, during the end of an interview. So how do you answer this? First, let's see what you're not supposed to do. Don't say, no, thank you very much. And you run out of the interview room so happy that it's finally over. Or don't say, yes, I do have a question. What will be my salary if I'm hired? Please don't ask these questions. Instead, what you can do is number one, ask a job scope related question. What is the most important thing that someone planning to join this career or position should know? This is a great question to ask because it shows that you are really interested in the company, which is why you're asking this question. This is also an open ended question, which makes the interviewer think that what, according to them, is the most important thing. So it's a great question to ask. Next one. What can I do to prepare myself better for this job? This is a fantastic question to ask, especially if you are going for a different field altogether. Say, for example, you come from a core engineering field like chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, and you're going for like an IT related job. So you can ask this question towards the end. What can I do to prepare myself better for this job? This shows that not only are you aware of the fact that you are not directly related to the field that you're applying to, but you're somebody who's passionate about that role and ready to prepare themselves even before the job. So it's a good question to ask. Next one. What is a typical career progression like for a new hire? So it's also a good question because it shows that you are already planning your career with the company and you plan to stay with the company in the long run. Another one, interviewer's personal experience. May I ask, what do you like about working in this organization? And it's a fantastic question to ask. And when I asked this question during my ExxonMobil interview in Singapore, this question worked like a charm. So the person who was taking my interview was already 20 years into the company. And he says, and I asked him, sir, you've been in this company for so long. What is that one achievement that you're really proud of? And he got so excited because nobody had ever asked him this question. And he went on and on about his achievements in the company. And my interview ended on a very high note. So again, a good question to ask. And the last one, about the interview process. If I'm successful, when will I be informed about the next steps of the interview? So you don't want yourself 1 week later wondering what happened in the interview, when are you going to hear from them? Might as well clear these doubts in the interview itself. All right. So guys, I hope all the information I've shared was good enough. And now sharing the deliverables of the career building workshop. So it's going to be consisting of 8 sessions, 1.5 hours each, and it's going to happen on Saturdays and Sundays for the next 4 weeks. So it starts from 24th of April all the way till 16th May. And these are some of the things we'll be covering. Building ATS-friendly resumes to get shortlisted for interviews. Nowadays, most companies use an ATS for shortlisting candidates. So we're going to talk about that. And today we just saw like one example of how to write the education section. Similarly, I'm going to cover all the sections like that and clear so many myths and misconceptions around resume writing. I'm also going to share with you different resume formats which are accepted by multinational companies and industries, even if you're working in India or if you want to go abroad for your higher studies, all the different formats. Next is about GDs. So what are recruiters looking for in a group discussion? What are some of the skills that they are measuring and how can you work on them? And then obviously we're going to talk about the different frameworks of the GDs and the different types of GDs that you can face. Next would be interviews. So we're going to cover all the different types of interviews that you can face, whether it is HR, technical, case, and stress interviews. In fact, for case interviews especially, there's going to be a guest speaker who is a graduate from FMS Delhi, completed his MBA and has experience in venture capital, wealth management, and has given so many case interviews. So we have a specialist for that. And next would be learn how to differentiate yourself in commonly asked questions. So I just shared one question with you today. During the workshop, we're going to do so many other questions like that how should you introduce yourself? What are your 5-year career plans? Or what should be the salary? What are the salary expectations? So many other questions like this, and how are you supposed to answer them and not give Google or YouTube answers? So there are 2 plans that are there, guys. First is the standard plan, which consists of all those 8 sessions, covers all the 3 topics, which is resume, GD, and interview prep. And along with that, it also consists of a mock group discussion. And the price is mentioned on the screen. And the next one is the premium plan, which includes everything in standard plan, but it includes one-to-one resume feedback where I will look at your resume once you've gone through the workshop and give you feedback on that. And the another one is mock interview. So once you attend the interview session, you should prepare for it. And then I'm going to take your mock interview and give you feedback as to how you can improve further. So this is what we have for the career building workshop. It starts next weekend and I'm super excited to see you all there. And now time for your questions. But for those of you who wish to leave, go make the most of your next career opportunity. I hope this session was useful to you and wish you all the very best. If you want to know more about these topics, you can also check out our channel, Wise Up Communications on YouTube. I keep sharing new videos every week. And yes, now for your questions. So please tell me. Let me open the chat box. So we will have like 5 or 10 minutes of question and answers. Harish, can you help read out the questions for me? My chat box is again not opening.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Just one second.
Okay, I have stopped the screen sharing, so I think I can check the questions. Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Somebody is asking, ma'am, I'm in first year. I should be joining the standard plan, right? I think first year is a great time when you can learn about these things and also practice these skills. So a one-to-one feedback on your resume or mock interview is definitely not going to hurt you. So completely up to you. You want to join the standard plan or the premium plan, completely up to you. All right. Let me look at some other questions. How to build confidence in a GD? I think the main thing is that confidence comes from practice and by knowing what you're supposed to do in a GD and the different ways how you can generate points in a GD. So once you know all those things, I think that is how you get confidence. Personally, this is how I function. So when I was in college, I had to know the chapter properly. Otherwise, I wouldn't get the confidence to do well in the exam. So similarly, if you know everything about GD, what are you supposed to do? Get enough practice out of it. Do mock GD sessions. You will be confident when you go for the final one. I'm a first year student, hence no resume. Can I still join the course? Absolutely. And I will tell you why that's important. When you're in your first year, you are going to apply for internships, right? So you need to start somewhere because if you think about it, it's like a chicken and egg story. You'll think that I have to do an internship first to write a resume, but then you also need a resume to apply for your first internship. So I'm also going to tell you as a beginner, as a fresher, how can you still prepare a good resume? And also, when you attend the workshop, right, you realize that, okay, what is the kind of resume that really gets shortlisted when you're probably in your third year looking for a good internship or in your final year looking for a placement. And then you have 3 to 4 years ahead of you to prepare for that accordingly. For a lot of people, by the time they're in their fourth year and they start preparing their resume, they have already lost all the time. And now whatever they have done in those 4 years is what exists and they don't have that option. So you can definitely attend this workshop in the first year itself. It's going to give you an edge over others, in fact. Is there a benefit of certification webinars or seminars attended? To be honest, when you go for interviews and when you send your resumes, what companies care about is the skills that you have and the knowledge that you have. So just mentioning that you have certificates doesn't really make a difference. If in an interview they ask you a question about a webinar or they ask you a question about a course that you've attended, you should be able to answer that. That's more important. Does accent matter in an interview? I personally don't think an accent makes much of a difference. If I do not have any hard skills, what can I do? If you don't have any hard skills, I think we are living in this time where getting hard skills has actually become very easy. There are tons of online courses that are available, which could be like a starting point for you. And obviously, throughout the years, you can take online courses, work on a lot of projects, and build your hard skills. Let me look at some new questions. Are there any new questions? What are the changes that you find in yourself by your first job? Actually, I would like to, that's a great question. And actually, I'd like to share my story with you guys. So, when I was doing my undergrad, I was this really introverted person. I never used to speak to a lot of people. I had a very small circle of friends, and I was this nerd, okay, who was always into books. But then I went to Singapore, and when I was studying at NTU, there were not a lot of Indians around, and I had taken up like a research based course. So there used to be times when the entire day used to pass, and I used to not even speak to anybody, and that actually started getting to me, and I was like, this is this. I mean, I was slowly like slipping into a bad mental state because of that, and that's when I decided that this is not how I can lead my life. I have to start speaking to people. So that is when I started initiating conversations with people, because I felt that there's so many people from all across the world here, and I cannot not speak to them because there's so much to learn from them about their cultures, about their traditions. And then I also got an opportunity to work as a communication coach. And since then, I have seen a 360-degree turn in what I was and what I have become, to a person so afraid to speak in front of five people, also to now somebody speaking in front of 300, 400 people. So, all because I took that initiative. That's it. Can communication skills dominate technical skills at any point? I think they can. And I think they especially do when you're going for like non technical fields. Like, obviously, if you're going for an IT job, they want you to do good coding, right? Because it's like a desk job, and it's like a backend. If it's a backend job, they want you to code properly, and they don't care so much about your communication skills. I don't know if I'm wrong, but when you're going for other roles, like when I was going for my role in Exxon Mobil, I think I won them because of my communication skills and not because of the kind of technical skills